So, you like big, juicy, attractive men. So what if you're a little gay boy with little gay thoughts? A brother like BlameF, I mean. Can I even really blame you? The most jacked man in all of professional Counter-Strike currently has been on a mission. He went from being maybe the most hated player in Tier 1. Maybe people were saying he was the most overrated player in Tier 1. He goes down to Tier 2 hell, and he suffers for, I don't know, 2 years. But our boy, oh baby, our boy is back. At the time of me recording this video, Big is currently ranked number 19 in the VRS rankings, and they are almost guaranteed at this point to be playing in the Cologne Major. And well, it's no coincidence that an organization like Big, who looked like they were kind of falling off the rocker, it looks like they would be stuck in Tier 2 hell forever, suddenly become one of the best Tier 2 teams in the world, jump up the rankings as soon as they add BlameF, and of course, a young opper in Grix. I am a Big Glazer now. I am going to be rooting for Big for the entirety of the time that they have this roster, and a big reason is I've always loved BlameF for one, and for two, they passed my test. All that it takes for me to be a fan of a team is two interesting players, and Big has that with BlameF and Grix. And while Grix has been farming since he joined Big, he's one of the most exciting opping prospects we have. He's posted a 1.14 rating so far this year. Without a doubt, the most absurd rating is BlameF. While as the team's caller, as the leader, he is posting a 1.29 rating. Currently on HLTV, he is one of the highest rated players in the entire world. A lot of people, including me, were a little sketched out when he did go from Fnatic to Big. It's like he was staying in Tier 2 jail. We all wanted him to join a Tier 1 team again, but none of us considered, what if Buddy simply brought a team to Tier 1 on his back? What if BlameF carried a team with his broad-ass shoulders back into Tier 1, a place where they used to be? What if BlameF just simply saved an entire organization? I could go on and glaze BlameF on Big for hours, but I do think his story is incredibly interesting, so I want to go back a little bit and even see how we got here. Farmlings, the sponsor of today's video, is SkinPlace, a site where you can quickly and safely sell your skins. Then you can choose one of their many withdrawal methods such as PayPal, crypto, or card, and if you use my promo code Garmour, you will get a 2% bonus to the first sale you make. You'll then get your money as soon as the trade protection for the skin is over. Or if you're looking for something new, they also have a huge market of skins that you can buy from. Along with this, SkinPlace has a new event called the Egg Hunt, or rather, the hunt for the Butterfly Knife Gamma Doppler Phase 3 minimum wear. Or you can get Driver Gloves King Snake Factory New. You have a chance to take part in this giveaway until April 28th, and the way you participate is just by visiting the site daily, collecting coins, completing tasks, and joining the draw. Coins can also be exchanged for skins in the bonus store. Thank you to SkinPlace for sponsoring, and back to the video. Now, since the dawn of time, BlameF has been a Tier 2 farmer. On his first team, Great Danes, he posted a 1.39 rating. On his next team, Epsilon, he posted a 1.32 rating. And then in Tier 2/Tier 1.5, where he finally was noticed the most, was on Heroic, where he posted a 1.18 rating. BlameF's ability to frag has really never been the question mark with him. It's more so been the fact that, yes, he is one of the best fragging IGLs in the entire world, but the main problem is the teams that he is on seemingly don't tend to have that much success. When he was on Heroic in 2019, they were a very good team, but despite how good they were, with him being their fragging in-game leader, Heroic were never that good as a team. They almost made the playoffs of ESL 1 Cologne 2019, and well, that's kind of where they were for a lot of S-tier tournaments. They either barely snuck into the playoffs or were on the edge of making it. And at the time, a lot of people kind of knocked this up as BlameF is too good for this team. It's not his fault Heroic can't really become a solid Tier 1 team. It's more of the quality of players he has. And so that's why when he was called up to the Complexity Colossus, people were incredibly excited for what he could achieve. But despite this new project, Complexity were kind of in a similar situation to Heroic. They were a really good team, but it seemed like there was kind of a ceiling that they couldn't really get past. That is, of course, until Blast Premier Spring 2020 European Finals, where Complexity would win their only ever S-tier tournament. But then after that, Complexity would kind of start to regress, consistently being nearly a playoff team at S-tier events, or maybe sneaking into the playoffs of some of them, but not really making super deep runs. And this is kind of the state that Complexity would be in for the rest of BlameF's tenure on the team. Now, he would start to get a little bit more slack for this in Complexity than he did in Heroic, but even now it was like, okay, I mean, Complexity was a cool project, but first of all, looking back at the team they had, Rush, Rush, Oboe, Poison, and Config. Sure, they are good players, but none of them are really around today, and none of them really accomplished much after leaving Complexity. Plus, there was weird roster instability after Oboe left. So at this point, it's like, can you really blame BlameF for how the team is performing? Or is it another scuffed situation? This is when he would eventually go on to join Astralis, and this is where he really started catching some heat. Because joining a team like Astralis, who used to be the greatest dynasty in Counter-Strike history, you need to have success fairly quick. With BlameF on Astralis was Xyp9x, Glaive, Config, and Farlig. And when he did join in 2022, from what I know, Glaive was still calling for the team. So BlameF kind of took a backseat as a rifler. And despite BlameF posting a 1.24 rating this year and playing individually incredibly well, Astralis as a team really wasn't that successful. It was kind of the same old story. Maybe sometimes they sneak into some semis of big tier 1 events, but for the most part, they were on the outside of playoffs looking in or just barely sneaking into playoffs. Along with this, they came in 17th to 19th place at PGL Major Antwerp, not even being close to the playoffs. And after Astralis failed to make it through the Blast Paris Major RMR, Glaive would be benched and BlameF would take up the calling duties once again. This wouldn't really move the needle for the team, as they would make semis of IEM Cologne 2023, but that was really their best showing all year. And then after missing the first major in CS2, the Copenhagen Major, BlameF would officially be benched. Now, up to this point in BlameF's career, he was kind of an enigma, because get this, in 2020, he was the number 6 player in the world. In 2021, the number 13 player in the world. In 2022, the number 12 player in the world. And in 2023, the number 16 player in the world. He was a top 20 player 4 years in a row, despite throughout this time only having played in 1 major. He only ever qualified for 1 goddamn major. That's despite him being one of the best players in the world and putting up absolutely insane numbers. So people really started to ask the question, if BlameF is so good, why don't his teams have more success? This is when BlameF would start to become BaitF. People were saying he was just a baiter, he had no impact kills, he just got eco frags. His numbers must be insanely inflated if his teams aren't really winning and he's still putting up, you know, consistent 1.2, 1.3 ratings. This Reddit post says, can someone explain how BlameF made 4 top 20 appearances in a row, even though he qualified for only 1 major? Some of the comments say, when enemy team is playing eco, BlameF out of nowhere becomes the most aggressive player in the world. Another comment says one word, BaitF. This comment says, the award is presented by HLTV and has historically just used basic stats that come from kill metrics to determine these awards. That's why in-game leaders are insanely disproportionately not on here, because stats can't measure that level of importance as easily. BlameF is simply good at getting free kills and dying less, but in terms of impact towards winning, he's massively overrated. Apparently, somehow BlameF was just getting the most unimportant kills every single game. Sure, he was posting 1.3 ratings, but why couldn't he kill important players more often? You know, BlameF, why do you only kill people with pistols and the people that just aren't important? And then let your entire team die and lose the round. Why are you doing that, BlameF?
Do I smell ecos for BlameF at B?
Oh, it looks like it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Benjamin.
Dun, dun, dun,
More like
dun,
Harrison Ford as he
dun,
runs in,
dun,
taking the
dun,
treasure there.
dun,
2
dun,
kills.
Now listen, guys, the 4 top 21 major thing is kind of an evil talking point, because while some of the hate, I guess, is warranted, we do gotta understand, like, the first year and a half of him playing, there were no majors. It was the online era. Sure, Complexity kind of stunk towards the end of his tenure on the team and they missed the Stockholm major, but I feel like at that point, Complexity was also kind of a mess, just running on fumes. And then he joined Astralis during one of their most dysfunctional eras in the team's history. So, like, I get that it sounds like cope, but I really don't put 100% of that on him. But here's what I will say, even as a BlameF enjoyer, during this period of time, there definitely was a little bit of merit to what people were saying about him. Now, if you watch Vu's video on if BlameF is a baiter or not, there is a couple things that you will notice about his gameplay, and it's that he is a dedicated lurker. And to be fair, at the end of the day, a lurker's job is pretty much to just bait his team. But the main arguments against him is that he does seem to be an incredibly passive lurker, and sometimes it just looks so unbelievably bad because he has like full faith in his team. For example, like if his team is 4 running out mid on Dust 2 and he's sitting B tons, he is going to sit and lurk in B tons. He is not going to get aggressive at any point because he knows if he does die in tons, it kind of cooks the entire B split. But then with how scuffed Astralis was during this time, of course, them all running out mid and dying, and then BlameF being being alone in tons in a 1v4, not having done anything, it does look pretty bad to the viewer. It looks like he has no impact. He's fully baiting and just not really doing anything. And on the contrary, when the team he was playing would have pistols, he seemingly magically became a more aggressive lurker, looking for picks and playing with more confidence. It was just a crazy contrast to what he would do in full gun rounds. It also has brought up at a lot of times that he was maybe too trusting of his teammates, like to a fault. When compared to someone like Robs, who also is a lurker, he'll often let his team go out and do the work. But if things start to go poorly, he's not going to just sit and let the rest of his team die. He's going to get more aggressive and try to make a play to help salvage the situation. And this is just something that BlameF didn't really do during this time. You know, he's either hard, passively lurking, letting his team dying, and if they die and didn't do their job, you know, it is what it is. He'll get a couple kills before he eventually dies and the round is lost, which does look like he's just boosting his stats. Or he'll be like the second or third player in. He was an incredibly good trade fragger, but you know, then again, in a round, there is only so many teammates that, you know, you can trade. And so it did just look like a lot of BlameF kills were very meaningless. They had almost no effect on round wins, and his rating was boosted because of this. And I do think during this time, this was a valid criticism, but at the same time, I do also feel like if BlameF was in better teams, stuff like this would have worked better. But when the teams you were on are worse and these executes don't really end up working out, it does look a lot worse for an extremely passive lurker like BlameF. So after all this criticism of BlameF being a KD farmer, an eco fragger, an HLTV rating merchant with no impact kills, he would try to redeem himself and revive his career in tier 2 with Fnatic. And well, of course, on Fnatic, like BlameF does, he would be their highest rated player with a 1.21. I actually don't think BlameF has been on a team where he's had less than a 1.2. On Complexity, he had a 1.21. On Astralis, a 1.23. I guess his lowest was on Heroic with a 1.18. If BlameF joins your team, you know you're getting a 1.2 rating, you know, pretty much bare minimum. But it really didn't help BlameF's case when he was farming these 1.2 ratings, and Fnatic just continued to get worse and worse and worse. His time on Fnatic, I feel like, is mostly just remembered as, you know, him being in jail, because it did seem like he was just too good for the team the entire time he was on it. And after they pretty much failed to do anything, he left and joined Big, where we are today. And well, from what we talked about earlier, you might think BlameF joining a team like Big with his playstyle isn't a good idea, because, you know, Big have been floundering for quite a while at this point with their full German rosters, and he's going to continue to bait his team. They're not going to do anything. He's going to farm stats. It's going to be a mess. But his time on Big is genuinely looking like the most successful project he's been on in quite a long time. And while BlameF is continuing to post stats like he always has, it does look like he has actually adapted his playstyle for the better. From what I've seen of BlameF on Big, it looks like he is still more of a trade fragger and lurker. Yeah, I mean, he's not going to completely change his playstyle. He does still have incredibly baity aspects of how he plays, but from what I've seen, he's also way more willing now to be aggressive on gun rounds and try and take space that will help his team do site crunches. In a lot of instances, he will still do things alone by himself. It just seems to be how he likes to play, but he has slightly tweaked his playstyle, and well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's been working for Big quite well. BlameF, listen, I think you have gotten better as a baiter, okay? I think you've done a good job, but what the fuck is this pistol round? A, execute, send the team out. A, solo walk with the bomb. B, you're not helping your case with this, brother. But anyway, since joining Big, BlameF has posted a 1.29 rating at the time of me recording this. And while, yes, he is still a heavy trade fragger and lurker, I think no matter what positions you play in Counter-Strike, a 1.3 rating basically is still incredibly impressive. But he's back to calling. Big finally looks like a good team again, which, hey, I've always liked Big. I'm hyped about this. And I barely even talked about him in this video. You know, don't forget that they do have one of the best opping prospects in the world on their team. You know, while Grix hasn't put up the numbers that BlameF has, he still does have a 1.19 rating since joining the team. Just as a whole, I am so hyped for Big. I love the project that they got going on here, and I do think it would be nice for Big to go on a bit of a run at Cologne and for BlameF to have like a mini redemption arc. He might never prove all of the haters wrong, because at the end of the day, his playstyle is very baity-esque, just like a lot of other lurkers in the game. But if he can be a lurker and trade fragger while also having his team being good enough to, you know, win stuff, that proves to everyone someone that while you may not like his playstyle, it can still work and the teams you're on can still win things. I would say Big still has a very, very long ways to go to winning tier 1 tournaments. I don't really, see that happening. But it is really good to see Buddy finally back on a team that is doing well. So let me know down below, what do you guys think about BlameF and Big? Do you think he's still evil BaitF? Or do you like the redemption arc that he is currently on and say, you know what, Buddy is saving German CS, Big is winning Cologne. If you guys like the video, like. If you want to subscribe, subscribe a link. And if you want to be notified, hit the bell. And that's it for me, fellas. I will see you guys later.